Good afternoon, February the 25th, 2016. This is CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. So, today is day number 10 in the week number 5, so let's get started. Alright? So, first of all, welcome back to today's class. It's already day number 10 into the semester. First of all, I would like to quickly share with you the student feedback questionnaire that you did as of last time, that means on Monday. So it's very good to see the result, except for the fact that out of a class of 41 students, I just got 30. That means 11 of you did not do the student feedback questionnaire. So I hope you make every effort to get the questionnaire done when it's time to do it again. Because based on the questionnaire, I could see the responses. For example, the first question asked, do you agree that we have been doing this course so far according to the GE program intended learning outcomes above? And you can see that I just got one disagree, and I have 11 who's on the positive side, 18 on the neutral side. Okay, so at least I got some support from you. That's very good, but out of 30, 11 of you did not do it, and I hope that you will make every chance to do it. We will come back to evaluate the program intended learning outcomes. The fact in this course, definitely, this is supposed to be the ability acquired by student at the end of all your GE courses, all right? But it makes a lot of sense to have a simple, what we call litmus test in this class after the first learning contract. Now the second question asks, do you agree with the fact that what we are doing so far, it's consistent with the 3 course learning objective? These are faced from the perspective of the teacher. And you see, I got 2 strongly agree, okay? That means from the perspective of the teacher, you do not agree with the above 3 specific course learning objective. But I got 16 who are on the positive side and 12 to stay neutral, okay? So it's also very positive. And the third question asks you something which we have actually not touched in the first learning contract, except for the fact that we come into that in the second and third learning contract. These contain the 6 course intended learning outcomes using action verbs like describe, outline, analyze, explain, evaluate, something like this. And given the fact that I've not actually explained to you the context of these, let's take a look at the results. I got 4 disagree. Lecturally speaking, it's logical because we've actually not touched them yet. But I got 12 you who say that what we are doing so far are already in line with the 6 course intended learning outcome. So it's pretty good support, sure. 14 of you become neutral. So basically, it's very positive for me as your instructor. And what about this? Do you agree that the general education course has been delivered so far according to the course schedule? Now that course schedule is stated in the syllabus. 3 of you say disagree, 18 of you say yes. So 9 of you say neutral. So making sure that we are in the directions that is expected by the majority of you. That's very good. Indeed, we have been sticking to the schedule very closely. And then what about question number 5? Do you agree with the philosophy of your general education as stated in the GE handbook? 3 of you say no, okay? 3 of you say no, I do not agree with the GE philosophy. Well, actually, I cannot say anything about this because we've chosen University of Macau, and the University of Macau has already given a lot of support to general education. Unfortunately, we've got 18 students who say yes, we agree with that, all right? So it's very important that we got some support. And what about this question number 6? Do you agree with the learning design as stated in course syllabus that introduced by me in the first day of class? 2 of you say no. I do not like learning design. Okay, 17 of you say, okay, we support that. 11 of you say neutral, all right? So it's also very encouraging for the instructor. Which part of the course syllabus have you studied? This is a very informative detail. Part A, 26, B, C, 18, D, E, 10. Now let me tell you this. According to the university schedule, starting from 4 this semester, these two parts will become Part A, core. Okay? Very important output-based teaching and learning. We're moving to this stage of course delivery officially starting from 4 this year, 2016. So it's very important that I have to make sure you have good understanding of this. Which part of the course syllabus do you believe is the most difficult to understand? As you can see that D and E becomes the two parts of the course syllabus with the majority of students, according to the figure here, who find it difficult to understand because normally you're taking a course based on the traditional approach. But starting from 4 this semester, this year, you will experience most of the course will be moving to this direction. And so my guess is increasingly in a number of years, you will take this course style in the long instead of the exceptions, okay? And then have you visited and studied the course Moodle site? Very good. 10 of you say greatly. 10 of you say 2, 3, and 4 box. With 2 of you fill in 2 box. Out of a total of 30 students, that is very good already. Number 10, do you agree that having studied the GE handbook could help you understand better our course learning design according to the proper syllabus? 5 of you say no, okay? 9 of you say yes, and indeed, I give you a secret. This is not the first editions of the General Education Handbook. It's the 3rd or 4th editions. But when you read the first editions, most of you should have no problem linking the two, okay? Because we're in the middle, actually close to the end of what we call the review of GE curriculum. Starting 4 of this year when a new handbook comes up, it's much easier for you to make connections, all right? So, do you agree that having studied the proper course syllabus, including the course design philosophy, could help you understand the day-by-day classroom activity better? I got 4 of you say no, but 15 of you say good. Okay, so 11 of you stay neutral. Thank you very much for this indications of your support. Do you agree that the published course syllabus, including the OBTL details, part where you discover most difficult to understand, has been designed and presented to help you understand better the day-by-day classroom and apply activities? And you can see that I'm very much encouraged by the result. 13 of you say yes, only 4 of you say no, okay? So I hope that I can read your heart later. So, and then 13, do you agree that the blended learning approach, including face-to-face interactions in class, together with the Moodle environment advice that you can study online, could really be helpful to you to understand our day-by-day classroom activity? Look at that, I'm so much encouraged by your response. 16 of you say yes, and 1 of you say no. That is very positive. Actually, the Moodle environment helped a lot. Actually, helps a lot. It could link the instructor with the student closely together. It could help clarify a lot of the questions that you need. Okay? And what about this one? The weekly electronic resources. Do you believe they can help you understand the context and the content of the course better? 4 of you say no. 13 of you say yes. So we still have to work harder to make sure you can understand or appreciate the electronic resources that we provide. And 15, do you agree that the weekly dual format of lecture, interactive lecture, and student sharing, it's good to help you to understand the context and content of this course? Now only 4 of you say no. I bet the 4 of you should try to come up to share, all right? And 15 of you say, okay, positive. How many weeks electronic resources have you examined? We will look at the figures here and compare that with the question next. Do you agree that the GE course has helped you participate actively in class so far? 6 of you say no, 13 of you say yes, 11 stay neutral. And try coming up to share, okay? That is an opportunity for you to earn a lot of points. Do you agree that the GE course can help you develop your own independent learning in the related subject area? 2 of you say no, 16 of you say yes, 12 say neutral, okay? So it's very positive indeed. Do you agree that the GE course can help you understand the related knowledge applications in everyday life situations? 6 of you say no. You need help to connect. 15 of you say yes. Okay? The related knowledge applications. How do you know it? Well, studying from the second learning contract. Sit still and enjoy. Do you agree that the GE course can help you think critically about related course topics? Only 2 of you say no. 16 of you say yes. Thank you very much. 12 says stay neutral. You are still making a decision. And do you agree that this GE course can help you develop relevant communication skills, reading, writing, and speaking in your present and future study? Only 2 of you say no. 19 of you say yes. This is excellent for me as a teacher. Okay? This is the majority of you do that. And do you agree that the instructor could help you learn to learn? Again, I got 2 students who say no, but 15 of you say yes, and 13 stay neutral. Okay, thank you very much for the support. You know, we have to develop the trust in the classroom. Which item below have you completed and submitted for learning contract number 1? Almost everybody does the journal. When you look at the number here, out of 30 students here, only 6 of you did not do the journal. Okay, so it's not too bad. Have you measured, now this is a very simple question, but it's very important. Have you measured the amount of time you spent completing the first learning contract? 23 of you say yes. This is absolutely excellent, okay? Only 7 of you say no. You need to learn to measure how much time you devote to a particular task, because you do not have all the time you have to do something. In particular, when you're taking 6 to 7 courses, you definitely need to budget your time. Do you still remember my suggestion from the beginning of the semester? How many hours per week should you be working in this course? 6, okay, at most 6 hours per week. So when you count into the 4 weeks time, when you have all this time to do your work in learning contract number 1, the maximum number of hours you should devote to this course for learning contract number 1 should not be more than 24. 6 hours per week times 4, okay? So if you have used more than 24 hours, you need to watch for the way you use your time, okay? And if you can manage to do it within or below 24 hours, so much better, okay? So this is very important. Now let's take a look at the answer. How many hours you're going to spend, or you have spent, doing learning contract number 1? 4 of you say less than 2 hours. 11 of you say 2 to 4 hours. 5 of you say 4 to 6 hours. And only 10 of you say more than 6 hours. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the next question. How many hours in total have you actually spent completing the first learning contract? 5 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, 2 to 3 hours, 10 hours, the whole week? 7 times 24 hours? 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, half an hour, excellent! Who did that in half an hour? All these items, 3 hours, maybe 10 hours, 8 hours, don't know yet, okay. 8 hours, 2 hours, great, 6 hours, 3 to 4 hours, a day, 24 hours, 7 to 8, 2 days, almost 8, at least 15, over 12, 10 to 14, 3 hours. Look at that. Now you have to be very sensitive to your time usage, because it's a precious resource. I do not want you to overuse your time. Make sure you budget your time. Remember, if you look at the syllabus, the link to time management, I've given you the advice how to use your time to complete the learning contract. If you follow that advice, it should be working, all right? How many journals? Okay, from which journals? Look at that. The majority of you select a topic from week 1's journal list, week 1's reading list, okay? The second majority comes from the third week 3's reading list. That's pretty good. And then 29, what is the chosen topic that it's for reference only, okay? And then 30, okay, 30. Let's take a look at your fellow students' response as to what is meant by IBL and what are entailed in IBL learning activity in the first learning contract. I do not know what is meant by 001. That is a code, okay? We need to be quick. IBL means 001. Search information online and found articles and you understand topic can help for my pipeline. Pretty good. I do not know. Okay, that's good. Knowing about information. Okay, theme. Students find answer by themselves depending on the teacher to get information. But also it depends on which topic you choose. Have more than one topic during a week which gives us a chance to learn wide various things. Whenever you have an interest in a specific topic, you can do deeper learning and research by yourself. In order to give a soft sharing during class, I read 2 long articles to learn something about information security. It was really a good experience to do further study and class sharing. Okay, congratulations on this student. His or she is telling you a little bit of his or her actual IBL experience in the first contract. This is very interesting. IBL to this student is some similar. It's still a writing form. Okay. And then learn the materials on your Moodle, research the related information online, and then discuss with my partner. IBL for me is week number 2. IBL for me is funny. Okay? So that is based on our knowledge, information, and suggestions. Okay. Talk the topic, chosen the topic, find questions and discussions in. You must talk together with a partner. Very good. IBL start by posting question, problem, and scenarios rather than simply presenting with status facts or portraying a smooth path to knowledge. The process is often assisted by a facilitator. Where did you got this? You must cite a source. Okay. All right, that's very interesting. Read the responses. And I hope that with your personal experience, you got some internalized interpretations of what is meant by IBL to you. Okay, and please study those responses by your fellow students. Okay? And now let's see. What do you think, what do you like most in this course? Okay? And so far so good. What did you like most about the design and content of this GE course? So far so good. The discussion forum. Study with partner, create more videos. 5 minutes sharing during classes. Good sitting. Presentations in class. Week number 1. Only week number 1. Making new friends. To learn how to protect our privacy. No. Diversifying development. Okay. Group sitting. Free. Pair work and teamwork. Knowledge about technologies. Topic about security awareness. Very interesting stuff, and thank you very much. Challenging, exhausted, but loving it. Challenging, exhausted, loving it. Just like drinking. I'm drunken, but I love drinking. Drink! Okay, challenging, neutral, so far so good. All right, lack of dynamic. So you like the most about this class because lack of dynamic. Okay, that's very interesting. Inquiry-based learning. I think GE course gives us the view of considering things differently. Okay, good. Thank you. Now, what do you think needs to change in the design and content of this course? No, don't repeat question, please. Homework is too much. Okay, too much. Yes, I keep that in mind. Play more videos. It's very good in terms of topic and the ways of teaching actually, however, the assignment is too heavy. Okay, understand. You must be the person who did the assignment 1 day or hours before the submission. Good. I want to have more Chinese sources to help me know about a topic more easily after the class. Okay, after the class I may be able to get you some Chinese sources. But you see that this is a course officially has to be conducted in English. And all the material must be in English. Okay? If we have to speak in Chinese, we must speak Chinese during the break. Because you will see that there will be a question towards the end of the semester. They will ask how many times or how many times I'm going to speak not in English. And then the boss will come to me, why are you speaking in Chinese? Okay, or whatever language it is. The material given on your Moodle is too much to read the whole thing. Remember, you're not supposed to read all the material in your Moodle. They're there in order to help you to choose something that makes it tick for you. Don't try to do all. It's impossible, okay? Classroom, the oldest one, E41052, is better to watch on the projector. I agree, but this is a collaborative classroom, so it's a little bit different. Okay, play more videos. The second time it comes up. Play more videos. No. Have more presentations opportunity. Every time, every class, you just have to sign up. I haven't had one. Sign up, please. Okay? Sorry, I have no idea. Nothing for temporarities. Okay? Nothing. I really needs to be simplified. Okay? Tell me how to simplify. Give more example about high technology. Oh, we love this. Okay? After we finish talking about the information security, I give you documentary to look at high technology, okay? Maybe I can prepare one next week. I have no idea. I think things going on perfect so far, except that we need to spend too much time after class to finish the homework. 6 hours per week, okay? 6 hours per week. Don't overdo anything, okay? I want some more lecture. Yes. We are helping you to transition from a taught to learn student to learn student. I'll give you just enough lecture to survive, okay? Make sure you come to visit, learn, and practice later, alright? Okay? Reduce the workload of this course since it's grammatical ridiculously much. You got it. Today, I give you a choice, okay? Reduce the workload of this course. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you how. In LC001, I think some of the items are similar things to writing. Now your same sentence can be written for several times. Query, which I think is meaningless. I think fewer items to pick up the most important one can be better. You are talking about the journal, the report, the blog. So you mean as a reporter, you can just go to gather news from the scenes and use the same data for reporting. Yeah, it takes time to get used to it. Okay, I'll try to be more attentive. The workload can be a bit less. Oh, sure. The assignment is too much. You see, I just explained it to you last time. The reason for doing the journal, the reason for doing the forum, the reason for doing the report, and the reason for doing the blog, okay? Okay, we can discuss more to deeper understanding. Sure. Change some text from Moodle to the online test. Online tests? You mean you want tests? As I say, you want tests? No! We don't have tests in this course because we don't want tests. The course of this class designed well, but we spend too much time maybe one of the class. Okay, 6 hours at most per week, okay? Don't do anything other than that. Too many homeworks. Okay, I see. Let's do something about this. Let's take a look at this. Do you agree that the workload so far is reasonable? Okay. 11 of you say no! 11 say no idea, but only 8 say yes. So I have to listen. So because I'm listening, so when you look at the midterm course survey, which is a compulsory survey, we have to conduct at the end of the first month of the semester. By next Monday, which will last the day, so I invite you to go home tonight and finish this midterm course survey before the end of today. I have provided some questions here. And the last question makes a lot of sense, okay? The last question say, in view of the workload in the second and third learning contract, each one of these spend 3 weeks to do, and you have to submit 2 sets of artifacts. What about doing it this way? Let's combine learning contract number 2 and learning contract number 3 in one, and we just need to submit 1 set of artifacts. And the submission date is according to the date of learning contract number 3. In other words, you do not need to submit on March the 12th, but you need to submit on April the 2nd. And remember, this is a teamwork, okay? This is a totally teamwork, and this is a pair work and teamwork, okay? And indeed, this is what I have in mind at the very beginning. This is a pair work with 2 persons, followed by a team of 4 persons. Originally speaking, this is a task force work with 2 teams, at most 8 persons, okay? So you have to, we are going to deal with the logistics later, but you have to make a decision whether or not you want to have only 1 contract. In this case, if you have 1 contract, you have 6 weeks time to do it. If you have 2 contracts, you have 3 weeks time to do this, ending on March the 12th, followed immediately by learning contract 3, another 3 weeks, ending on April the 2nd. Now, if you choose to combine them, then you have 6 weeks straight to do it, okay? But you must form a team before the end of next week in order not to waste time, okay? So, just now, some student came to me, how can we tell you our team formation? You can tell me your team formation from the Dr. Red Q&A hotline this week and next week, okay? List out the pair you want to combine as a team. But now, after this questionnaire, if you decide to have only 1 learning contract, you need to find another team. If that means in your task force, which contains 2 teams, 4 pairs, okay? To do this learning contract number 3. And don't look at it easily, because to manage a task force of 8 persons is not easy, okay? You have a lot of challenge ahead, because you want to make sure each one of you in the task force is going to have something to contribute, okay? So it's equally challenging, but you just have 6 weeks time, okay? And remember, do not procrastinate. When you procrastinate, and when you try to produce the artifact 1 day before the submission date, no one can help you, all right? You have to make sure you every hour work. So may I invite you to make sure that you complete this mid-term course survey before the end of today, so that I will have all the possible responses and tell you what we are going to do with this. All right? So it's very important. This is a very important response to say, yes, I know your concern in terms of workload. All right? So now, having done this, may I invite you to get ready. So we're going to give the time to the student today to share first before we come back to class. So the first student who is going to share, it's Karen, and then Michelle. Although you indicate as number 6 because you're the first person to sign in. So we're going from the earliest one to the last one, okay? So Karen, and then Michelle, and then Star, and then Brew, and then Ada, and then Yoga. Wow, we have more than 6. And then Cerelia. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7. So maybe we can accommodate 7 today. So are you ready, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pass you the time and the microphone. Thank you.
Can I start?
Yes, sure.
Hello everyone. Today I want to share 2 articles, but not in details. So the first article I choose is the 5th, is in the 5th of the release of this week. The topic is what is privacy, and And according to this academic journal, the author Michael McFarland SJ says that although privacy has many meanings, but the most general is freedom from interference or instruction, the right to be let alone. And it also says some definition from American common law, and it describes what is privacy. And if you, invest something, you might be illegal. But I think it's too difficult, so I choose to escape this one. Another thing is that it goes through detail and discuss the informational privacy, which is the concept that have four important elements. The first one is that it is about information, and the second is it's personal information, and the third is more important. It is a concept related to control. It means that it's not how much or how little is known about the subject, but whether the subject can choose how much of the information is revealed and to whom. To make it clear, I want to give some example, which is actually you'll have a lot of things in a typical day, but you can choose if you according to privacy, you can choose what kind of thing that others can know and what kind of things that others cannot know. It's something about control. And the fourth important element is that privacy is defined as a right within certain domains. As the author put it, the person's control of personal information ought to be respected and protected. This academic article didn't make any example of this, but by reading Wikipedia, I found some great example for this. It is said that actually the concept of privacy can conflict with other concepts like the taxation, which means that governments need budgets to do something, so they need to ask their citizens to give you tax. But by defining how much tax you need to give, you have to report your salary annually. But it might invest your privacy because the government knows how much money you earn a year. So privacy might conflict with other concepts. And the other example is freedom of speech. It also provided by Wikipedia. It is said that, of course, you can say something, but if you are gossip others every day, or you are talking about other scandal, it might invest others' privacy. So that the fourth concept is the right with a certain domain. I think this is quite important. And so now I finished the first article sharing, and the second article is from Wikipedia. I really like to read Wikipedia as a reference because I think it always gives me fundamental concepts about certain topics. And I also can share some tips is that if you want to write your personal journal, you can start by reading Wikipedia, because by that you can get lots of academic journal mentioned by the article. And Wikipedia also gives the definition of privacy. I think it's quite good, so I choose to read it for you. It is privacy is when something is private to a person, it usually means that something is inherently special or sensitive to them. The domain of privacy potentially overlaps security, and security can some kind equal to confidentiality, which can include the concepts of appropriate use as well as protection of information. Privacy may also take the form of bodily integrity. Okay, next I want to share that by research, it is said that people might more likely to provide their privacy when the gatherer want to use this private information to do analysis, and the analysis is for commercial. So in this kind of situation, people will more likely to provide their private information. But actually, when you provide it, it is voluntarily to provide it as a sources to be analyzed and get a conclusion for commercial cases. But sometimes other people might get this, your personal information, and to do other things. To make it clear, it is like, for example, in Taiwan, if you go to a new class, and the teacher will gather students' information like your birthday, your address, and your phone number in order to make time.
1 minute.
Okay. In order to make a booklet that you can contact your classmates more easily. But actually, this kind of booklet will be very likely to be provided to the cram school. So the cram school will have your information and then keep calling you so that you need to come to cram school or something like that. So your information was be stolen. Something like that. And go through this article, there are lots of concepts to define privacy. I will just quickly go through it. The first one is right to be better law, and I have just mentioned in the first article. And the second one is limited access. The third one is control over information. The fourth one is data privacy. The fifth one is secrecy. Oh, secrecy is kind of interesting. That you might think that secrecy is equal to privacy, but actually it is not. Some people describe it in a humorous way. It says that if you own this information by yourself, that's called privacy. But if others own your information, but it didn't provide to public, it's called secrecy. Okay, and go through it. As the sixth one is personhood and autonomy. The seventh is self-identified personal growth. The eighth is intimacy. Back to self-identity and personal growth. As a psychology major student, we know that actually when your personal information is being uploaded online, it can harm your self-esteem. Just like the video showed that class, the girl which her photo was posted on the sexual website, it might harm her self-esteem. Okay.
Thank you very much. I know you're trying to cram a lot of things in your sharing, but actually you can adjust a little bit using the online forum to continue.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Carol. She did a lot of work. Look at that. A lot of work. Thank you. So the next person is Michelle. Are you ready? So we pass the time to Michelle. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about the crypto wars. The crypto wars is an official name for the U.S. government's attempts to limit the public's and foreign nations' access to cryptography strong enough to resist encryption by national intelligence agents. There were two crypto wars, and both of these two are the wars of the government against its own citizens, which the first time revolved around the hardware-based cryptography, and the second time involved the social networks. For people to protect themselves, there are 5 essential privacy we need to focus on. First, the email privacy. Unlinked email is likely like a postcard for anyone to read. Second, the file privacy. The file might be stored in the encrypted code, but that does not mean that they are 100% safe. 100% is only for us. Although most cloud-based storage services transfer over an encrypted session and store data in an encrypted form, the files are still accessible to the service provider. then is forced privacy. Wiretapping is very prevalent for now to get your information. After that is chat privacy. Encrypting your chat and instant messaging session is just as important as encrypting your email. And at last, trial privacy is very important too. It refers to the protection of information privacy with regard to geographic information. We should make sure that the network providers do not block IP addresses and that they accept a form of payment that does not link you to the transaction. That's my share.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. It's very much appreciated if you could also provide your material online following the link. Okay, thank you, Michelle. So the next persons would like to invite, based on the light here, it's Star. Are you willing to give us 5 minutes of your discovery? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I would like to introduce what is information meters. At first, I will introduce the condition like this. Information literacy is a ability to identify what information is needed, understand how the information is organized, and then take the best sources of the information for a given need. Locate these sources, evaluate the sources critically, and share that information. This is the knowledge of commonly used research technique. To simply is the ability to use how to find the resource and how to use them. And there are 5 goals. That first development, determine the nature and explain the information need. Second, assign the needed information actively and efficiently. The third, accurately information and key sources quickly and incorporate selected information into his or her knowledge base and web system. 4. Use information actively and accomplish specific goals. 5. Understands many of the economic, legal, and social issues surround the use of information and access of and use information actively and is the important strength of information energy. Okay. Although it's shown in the class, so I can and say something my experience about this. To discover, what is discover? Define, inquire, search, collect, organize, repeat, express, reflect. Okay. At first, we should know what is define. Define is to confirm the topic we need to do. are many problems we have. Problem for people, social, workplace, or education. There's too many topics we can choose. However, to start a proposal or a report, we need to decide to topic, or we can't do anything. This is the most important thing I think. To require a practical source. At first, every proposal or report should have the resource or reference to support our works. Many people use Wikipedia. Yeah, it's a famous website and it's .org. It sounds great. It sounds credible. However, it is not a credible source because every people can change it or edit it. So we can't do this. What should we use? Quality books or an article or trace book and journal article. They are written by some professional experts, so it's trustable. And then government resource or review official online documents.
1 minute left.
Okay. Because of the time, I chose the credible sources. These are the credible sources we can use in the proposal or the report. Okay. There are some incredible sources. Because the trustworthy is very low, so we avoid using them is better. Search. We can search in library or using the research engine like Google and the database. Collect. Be careful the copyright. Okay, then we need to type out the information and choose them. Of course, double check them. Express. There's communication or whether to sell your product, of course, you need to use them. Presentation, discussion, or general report. In fact, to summarize the topic. Okay, this is my reference, and thank you.
We thank you, staff, for helping us to review the information literacy in sensors, particularly the discovery process. Okay, after staff, we come to the next speaker for today, and that is Brew. Brew, are you ready? Thank you. We'll pass you the time now. You have 5 minutes.
Hello everyone. Today I will share something about information competency for you. Nowadays, the technological information is going fast and we can find out different kinds of the information in the internet. Maybe most of the young consider that it is good for searching some material and this way can save lots of time. But everything has two sides. I think we should not ignore the negative effects on this point because it will make some influence on information competency. First of all, let me introduce what is information competency for you. Information competency is an ability which
all aspects. Recognize the need for information, acquire and evaluate information, organize and maintain information, interpret and communicate information. In other words, it means you not only know how you can find the information, but also have an ability to distinguish which information is useful and reliable. Many people consider that it is difficult and unnecessary to teach what information competencies is. Actually, the state academic centers report that community college faculty have a provided responsibility in determining curriculum and develop a program for information competency on the local campus. In other words, the faculties make an important influence on teaching information competency, and I think it is necessary for teachers to teach students something about information competency, because it is a good way to improve our abilities on critical thinking. Finally, with the growth of technological information, we must build up our independence and abilities on define the information. Do not search every material you want on the internet. Just use your critical thinking and choose the useful and important information. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ru, on helping us to review, from your perspective, the idea of information competency. Now, Aiden, are you here? Thank you, Aiden. We pass you the microphone. So, you have 5 minutes time. Remember, at the end of your sharing, come back here and type up some of your information shared. Okay? Thank you, Aiden. Each one of you need to provide a full record of your sharing.
Today I want to talk about technology and responsibility. Nowadays the technology develops very fast. A few days ago I went to the library and I want to have a look at my textbooks, but unfortunately my time ran out and I was in a hurry. What's worse, the book is too big to read in 8 minutes. At that time I remembered an app my friends recommended me. That's a scanner that can transform a JPG file to a PDF or a Word file, but just taking a photo with the book. Anyway, I got a lot of convenience with it. Only when we really need one thing can we really know how important that thing is. At that time, I noticed that technology has developed so fast and is good for our daily life. But as the technology has been so developed, there are also some people can't control themselves to not do harmful things. For example, some people will say our phone number or email address to someone needed, and then we will receive junk emails or some advertisement messages. Some big companies can look into your private information without permission because you are using their apps. What's more, in recent years, the news reported that a big country even monitored their own citizens. How horrible it is. It is just like living in a world totally without privacy. In a world like that, we're supposed to be more careful in our daily life. We need to say no when an online business is requesting personal information, either for registering with them or for selling their products or service. That's the best way to protect yourself.
Thank you, Ada. It's very interesting to listen to your speech today. Yes, it's just that microphone there. It's about experience, personal experience of encounter of different technological gadgets, including the apps. Okay, so we may be able to accommodate yoga today as well as Serenia. Yoga, thank you. Wow, the whole table of you, almost. Thank you.
Today my topic is why is information literacy is so important. So the definition of information literacy is not only about the school and the academic problems. It's also important to citizens. don't know how to use a particular information technology today, it means that there is another one that is unaided that you have to learn tomorrow. So in the information age, we have to be even smarter than before. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us some reasons of why we need to learn information. Learn information literacy. So finally, Surelia, are you here? Thank you. Very good. We have almost the whole table. We cannot ignore you. Okay. Yes. 5 minutes at most. Thank you.
Today my presentation topic is information computing. In our lecture, people are faced with most of the information every day. But what is the information competency? As specified by the academic setting for California Community College, information competency is the ability to recognize the need for the information, acquire and evaluate information, organize and managing information and interpreting and communicate information. For the college student, critical thinking is also based on your information competency ability. This ability is benefit for our study and work in the future. And how we can do now? Maybe when you write an essay or journal, you should find any data. And when you use Google search, you should use your critical thinking to think about this website, whether it's really true and they use it. So it is the information competency ability. I think information computing ability is very important for us.
Okay, I thank you very much. We heard it again and again today that it's very important for us to become information competent. So what does it mean to become information competent? So one of the important things that we need to learn is to heed the lessons we learned as of last time in the context of information literacy. Now today I would like to introduce to you the lessons that we expect to learn for this week, which is a topic called Web Attack and Internet Vulnerability. And the way to do it, I'm going to satisfy those of you who would like to receive lecture, but this time is a very interesting lecture from an ethical hacker. You are going to listen to one of the very interesting ethical hacking lessons online, which is going to be free of charge for you. So, 6 minutes from Chuan Sing.
First off, defining the concept of ethical hacking. Ethical hacking at its core is using the techniques and tools, the approaches, the attacks that an attacker would use to identify vulnerabilities, document the vulnerabilities, and plan remediation. Many times, folks that aren't as familiar with security penetration tests or security analysis just assume that all security experts, especially IT security experts, are the same, that they use the same techniques, the same tools. They assume an auditor is the same as an analyst. They assume an ethical hacker uses the same tools as those folks as well. And that's simply not the case. Ethical hacking is different in this core function in that it uses the exact same methodology, the exact same tools that a hacker would use. Someone outside frequently the company, someone out of control of the company, to actually understand the network, penetrate, compromise, but do it in a way that's ethical, meaning that they document this, that they record the steps, they record the breaches, they record the parameters that they've used so that later on analysts and auditors can come and look at those results and determine what things may need to be done in the future to help prevent similar attacks, but from an unethical hacker down the road. This is a key difference. This key approach difference is really what separates this from anything else out there. When we talk about ethical hacking as well, one thing to remember is that ethical hackers follow specific rules and guidelines, and these are really, really important. The core rules of ethical hacking, first and foremost, do no harm. Do not destroy assets. Do not wreck networks. Do not deny service and actually affect real use of systems. Do not lock people out in a way that's not part of the plan. So doing no harm is really the big distinction between a cracker and an ethical hacker. A cracker or a true attacker, as part of their attack, may want to do harm, whether it's compromise sensitive data, deny service to legitimate users, destroy assets, and so forth. Ethical hacking differs there in that typically there's no destruction and no harm done. Ethical hacking is also really rooted in boundaries, understanding what systems can and cannot be attacked. For example, an online database that's critical to customer data or critical to transactions. That kind of database should never be attacked by an ethical hacker unless it's part of the ethical hacker's boundaries, unless that database is specifically included. Most businesses that are being run 24 hours, 7 days, most businesses will not want an ethical hacker to approach any critical business systems because it could simply impact business. So understanding what those boundaries are up front and then honoring those boundaries is absolutely critical. Countermeasures are not part of the ethical hacking process. As you are examining networks and footprinting and determining vulnerabilities and installing compromises, that process doesn't include at every stage, well, I wonder how I would defend against this. That's not part of ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is getting in, finding the vulnerability, documenting as you go, certainly, but countermeasures are usually considered only after an entire ethical hacking process is complete. After you're successful, after you've compromised vulnerabilities, after you've actually owned the network, so to speak, that's when you worry about, I wonder how this company, my company, any company could protect against this. That's when that research happens. Sometimes it's a natural outcropping of the attack itself, and that's great. Document that, but do not focus on countermeasures during ethical hacking. All of this should be in agreement, written agreement, with whoever is the subject of this ethical hacking process. If you're a consultant and you've been brought in to determine vulnerabilities and risk exposure for a company, getting agreement on what are the critical systems, what are the boundaries, what are the targets, what are the areas of concern is really important, and it has to be done in advance. It can't be done during the process. You can't stumble across customer database number 72 and raise your hand and ask, is it okay if I hack this database? That's not the proper approach to ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is an understanding these systems are off limits. Those systems are in bounds. These systems are the systems that we're most concerned about, or the data over here is the data we're most concerned about. And documentation is absolutely critical. I recommend that you thoroughly document every step, every process, every keystroke you make, frequently using things like Camtasia to record video or getting screenshots, having a notebook where you jot down notes as you're doing things, commands you run, data you get, and so forth. Saving all of that in a special place on your hard drive or on the network, having a nice backup of it, that's absolutely crucial as well. Both to ensure that you capture everything, every part of the attack, all of the compromises, success and failure and so forth, and also for personal liability reasons to ensure that you show exactly what you did do and exactly what you did not do.
Let me come back to give you a very important support here to understand what you're going to learn from this number of excellent video. Okay, it's about ethical hacking. First of all, the topic for this week for the second half of this week is web attack and indirect vulnerabilities. Attack is no good. Whenever we try to do attack, it's the intrusion of someone's privacy. When we are going to do web attack, that means we're going to use some kind of applications online, which is going to be one over the internet to attack some system, to attack on a particular person's privacy. That it's a no-no. Okay? But how it's possible for attack to be successful? It is only when we know we have enough knowledge about the vulnerability of the system. Vulnerability means it's a particular pawn which is considered as the weak pawn where people can easily attack someone with no what we call significant source of power. In the context of indirect vulnerability, many systems that we're using today, they are being designed and coded in the system by people. And we know it because of the human weaknesses in completing the loop. There are many pawns in a particular system where we can use to attack the system. So we have different patches of the software to help us to complete eliminating those weak pawns to understand where the surface area, where the weak pawn could be. And here, it's the job of the ethical hacker. Okay? The ethical hacker means hack so as to know how to help. Okay? But the person who has the ability to hack must the person who knows how to hack in the system without the knowledge. But how can a bad guy become a good guy? Ethical means I'm doing this for good. I'm not doing this for the harm. So in the context of the first video, the persons who help you to understand the concept and the rules of ethical hacking, it's already there. There are 6 to 7 pawns, and for each of these pawns, we just heard the rationale behind it. Now in order to learn what is meant by web attack, I invite you to go home during the weekend to study at least one of these 3 videos. Okay? The person who's going to tell you, assuming that you know nothing about technical things, will help you to understand the famous overthrow attacks, the famous denial of service attack, where the system is kept busy in such a way that the many people want to use the service, but it's kept at the front door because they're telling you a lot of people are using the service, so you need to wait. But you do not know how long you're going to wait for it, and so eventually you will give up. Your service right is being denied because the system is kept busy. It's a very interesting way to attack the system. So they also introduced to you ways to create this denial of service, DOS, and the types of DOS attack. These are the web attack examples. And of course, in order to succeed in doing this web attack, they're going to tell you they know the system weak points. And so the famous example is the Windows XP, now no longer in service. They will make the best use of those weak points to launch the attacks. Okay, here is a very simple introduction. What is needed on each one of it, it's attentive ear and learn from the PowerPoint, just a couple of things. So, you do not need a technical background to know this because these set of videos are very useful for you to understand it. And at the end of that, if you want to know something more, come to this particular video, which can help you understand it better. Okay, I need to set the link again. All right, we have to let you go, but allow me to take attendance for the day using 2 minutes. All right, so, you know, the challenge of this class is I need to balance the need to help you learn some topic with the need to let you demonstrate your understanding of the topic in class sharing. So you have to be very accommodating in order to make this class work. Johnson, you're here. You don't you're here. Thank you. Star, you're here. Ken, you're here today. Thank you. Terry, You're not here today, okay. Terry, okay. Iris, thank you. Andy, thank you. Christina, thank you. Gabrielle, thank you. Sonia, thank you. Tina, thank you. This is what something left. Cleo, thank you. Joey, thank you. Winnie, thank you. Very good. Xiao Hui, thank you. Danny, thank you very much. Nicholas, you're here. Gala, thank you. Ru, thank you. Kareem, you're here, thank you. Ming Xian, thank you. Louise, you're not here today, okay. Raymond, thank you. Steve Chow, thank you. Levine, thank you. So the first page is over. We'll go to the second page. Cerulean, thank you. Martin, thank you. Brad, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Fatima, thank you. Heidi, thank you. Karen, thank you. Erica, thank you. Yoga, thank you. Gambo, thank you. Wina, thank you. Ada, thank you. Steve Chen, Steve, thank you. Gia, thank you. Yes, she's not here yet. And then Hannah, thank you. Now, heed my advice, you need to look for, first of all, another pair to form a team. And once the result of the mid-term course survey is out, you might have to look for another team. 8 persons in your task force to carry on the work. So talk to your fellow students and make sure you make some decisions. But first of all, complete the mid-term course survey before the end of today. Thank you very much. I'm letting you go now. Thank you. So that's it for today's CISG 113 section 1, Information Security and Privacy, day number 10.